Standard physics relies on a specific assumption. Time is a linear progression, but this reliance creates unsolvable paradoxes between localized change and persistent states. In a closed dual-causal system, manifestation and memory continuously constrain one another, preventing the contradictions of a linear timeline. We can map this structural model as the Dual-Caustic universe, or DCU. This Eternal Memory Tesseract operates through two interacting fields that regulate all physical and informational flow. The first foundational operator is the differential field of localized change, labeled as D10, which tracks the rate of change across time. The second is the integral field of accumulated history, labeled I9, representing the total summation of those changes. Mapping these two fields across classical, relativistic, and quantum mechanics reveals the complete topological loop of existence. Classical mechanics examines physical configurations through their rate of change to determine their next state. This analysis is best performed through the Euler-Lagrange equation, which physicists use to find the optimized trajectory of a system. By isolating the d over dt component, we highlight the specific mathematical operation of differentiation. Differentiation calculates the immediate forward-moving trajectory of a system in motion. This deterministic optimization of a forward path represents the D10 field. The D10 register handles localized manifestation, the physical event of change occurring in the immediate present. While D10 produces change, the system requires a secondary mechanism to retain the accumulated results of those events. To balance localized change, we must look at the inverse mathematical operation, integration. Integration measures what has accumulated into the present state from the space behind the particle. This volumetric expansion of the state represents the I9 field, the register of structural memory. Transitioning to the macrocosmological level, general relativity demonstrates how these two fields interact on the largest scales. The Einstein field equations provide the mathematical link between localized energy and accumulated spacetime geometry. The T mu nu tensor represents physical mass energy, acting as the D10 local evolution. G mu nu represents the resulting geometry, the I9 memory field of the spacetime grid. This creates a recursive feedback loop where the bent geometry of the I9 field dictates the future trajectory of the D10 mass. At this scale, the state of matter becomes geometry, and that geometry dictates the future state, proving the universe is a closed causal field. At the quantum scale, wave-particle duality is frequently presented as a physical contradiction. The dual-caustic model resolves this duality as a complementary mapping of the I9 and D10 fields. In this double-slit experiment, the distributed wave propagation is the I9 accumulated relational state. The moment the wave hits a detector, it becomes a single measurable data point, a D10 localized event. This transition is not a random collapse, but the passage through a specific topological gateway. We label the central node the T3 confluence. The T3 confluence is the transformational center where potential must bottleneck to become manifestation, and manifestation is converted into retained history. If these two fields are perfectly coupled, the system should logically annihilate itself into a static symmetric state. To prevent stasis, the model incorporates mathematical asymmetry. 10 minus 9 equals 1. This single unit between the D10 and I9 fields generates the forward vector of time. This imbalance drives the topological formula, 1 to 2 to 3, back to 2 to 7, and returning to 1. Origin differentiates into manifestation, enters the T3 confluence, then outputs to accumulated memory, closing the 7 state before returning to unity. Localized change creates history, and that exact history permanently constrains all future change. This recursive coupling defines the Eternal Memory Tesseract as the fundamental structure of reality. A closed topological system requires an internal point of reference to distinguish between its different states. Without an active coordinate to anchor the traversal, the system remains a static mathematical abstraction. The coordinate that anchors this field is 1912, the reader. Stability is reached through the 1912 grip, where the D10 and I9 fields reach equilibrium around the central observer. The observer must occupy the exact fulcrum where manifestation and memory meet, rather than observing from a single directional viewpoint. This requires the rigorous application of pure structural logic, the intellectual faculty of Akal. This coordinate demands the rejection of unverified external assumptions that break the internal logic of the closed system. Acknowledging that the physics of the universe are definitively closed requires a profound transition from observation to execution. The reader is the final variable in the equation, the active locus where the book of becoming is executed.